so happy. I just learned I'm going to save money. My apartment building is switching from heating oil number 6, which pollutes, to a much cleaner and cheaper fuel, natural gas. It wasn't always cheaper than oil, but it's cheaper now because energy companies found ways to get more natural gas out of the ground. They've pulled so much out that over the past 3 years, natural gas prices dropped 70%. Also, you notice you don't hear all that panicky politician whining about, we're running out of energy, we're going to freeze in the dark. That's because using this technique, America won't run out of natural gas for 100 years or more. So, yippee, plentiful and cheaper. Except, do you know how they get natural gas out of the ground? They use chemicals to blow up rock. It's called fracking. That's short for hydraulic fracturing. An Oscar-nominated movie, Gasland, explains how that's done.
It blasts a mix of water and chemicals 8,000 feet into the ground. The fracking itself is like a mini earthquake. The intense pressure breaks apart the rock and frees up the gas.
The movie suggests the fracking contaminates our water supply with chemicals. And in the movie, some homeowners set their tap water on fire.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
Well, that got my attention when I saw it. I've seen, Michael Moore movies and a lot of these environmental documentaries, and I thought they were nonsense mostly. But Gasland is more convincing. I invited the filmmaker to join us today, but he would not. We invited the big national environmental groups that are opposed to fracking to come here and say why, but they all said no, too. So we asked another environmentalist, John Hanger, former director of Pennsylvania's Department of Environmental Protection. He appeared in the film. And we're also joined by Matthew Briette of the Commonwealth Foundation, a think tank in Pennsylvania where some of the film was shot. So, Matt, you say fracking is just safe?
Well, it is safe. In fact, this is just another example of you tell a lie, repeat it often enough, people really start to believe it.
But wait a second. They use all these chemicals, some of which are totally poisonous. They put them in the ground and cause explosions. That has to...
The chemicals that they talk about are things you find around your household. In fact, something you probably have in your freezer. Guargum. Are you afraid of guargum?
Yes.
You are.
I don't know what it is, but...
You find it in your ice cream. That is one of the prominent items that goes into the fracking fluid.
All right, but there are some worse chemicals. I think a stronger point on your side is that it's below the water table, right?
Oh, well below. Thousands of feet. And there, again,
the assumption is the stuff is dripping into the water table, but in fact, the water table is above where they frack.
Well, absolutely. And there are, again, no documented cases of this contaminating our groundwater.
All right, but they have to go through the water table, back up to bring the gas. These people's tap water did catch fire. We saw that.
Well, there are lots of biogenic, meaning naturally causing effects that are occurring all across Pennsylvania in areas where we're drilling. So it's really no surprise, in fact, that we find that 40% of the wells in Pennsylvania have some sort of naturally occurring methane gas and other types of things. So it was pre-existing.
Gets into the well water.
Right.
And in fact, the clip we showed you, it came from Colorado, where investigators in Colorado checked that out, and they found that the fracking had
nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with that. So, John, you started a big environmental group, the biggest in Pennsylvania, but the film presents you as an indifferent environmental bureaucrat who doesn't care enough to stop this evil doing.
Absolutely. The Gasland movie is inaccurate on some of its facts, and then it doesn't show the real alternative choices. I mean, gas does have some impacts. It is not perfectly clean, but compared to coal and oil, which are more dirty fossil fuels, natural gas can be produced and consumed in a manner that is cleaner than coal. I do want to go back to something that Matt said. That picture of the flame, there's two possible causes. One is the natural occurring cause, and the second is that gas can migrate and has migrated from poor drilling into people's private water wells. And drilling companies, responsible drilling companies, agree that has happened. So there's two possible causes for that very dramatic picture that you saw.
So we need more regulation to make sure that the gas companies don't do that?
Well, this is an industrial process, and it does need to be properly regulated. The gas migration issue is a real one. I would agree with Matt that frac fluids themselves has not come back from depth and contaminated people's water wells. We haven't got chemicals in people's water wells because of fracking, but we have had gas move from poorly done gas drilling through the ground and reach people's water wells. So there is a need for oversight here.
Well, and this is where the gas industry has, in fact, exceeded a lot of standards that the government has laid out and is more than willing to ensure that our drinking water is safe.
Oh, come on. You sound like a shill for these. Are they paying you?
Absolutely not.
The filmmaker concedes that the states have found that the fire isn't caused by this, but he argues that government's either on the take or you aren't using good science.
Well, look, Josh Fox has a mission. He's trying to shut down the gas drilling industry. My mission was...
They're kind of winning. I mean, New York, in my state, there's this big field. They won't let them develop it.
Well, I think New York is right now importing a lot of gas from around the country, including from Pennsylvania. And you, John, if you live in New York, are using it. I'm glad you're using it as opposed to the oil. You're right, it's cleaner. It's helping to clean up the air in New York and around the country by doing that.
And one example of how clever that the opponents of natural gas and fracking are, around New York City, people have been seeing this sign on drinking fountains. This water is most likely safe. If you have any concerns about contamination due to hydraulic fracturing, expose water to flame. And it pretends to be a Department of Environmental Protection. It's just a scam.
I mean, that's really an example of it's pure scaremongering. There's intense monitoring of your drinking water. And if there's any problem with your drinking water, we run to the media to put out a boil water advisory and to inform the public that there's bacteria in the water or there's some problem. So,
and those are pretty rare today.
Very rare.
Well, we've been doing hydraulic fracturing really for 60 years. It has been the technological advances in the past decade that have allowed us to get even deeper into the harder shale gas. But this has been a proven, safe way of not contaminating our water, but getting us the kinds of energy sources that we sorely need.
And there's 100 years of it to go. So thank you, Matthew Briette, John Hanger. Later, I'll give you my take on what we should do to keep the lights on. But next, the audience's take. You get to question my guests.